Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Our first coincidence miracle today is about a project I was asked to do during a very busy period. I think most of us have heard the story. If you want to get something done, give it to a very busy person. They find a way to get it done. Well, I was really overloaded, but I was asked by a Sunday school teacher and principal to prepare a lesson plan to cover the partnership with Jesus. Our partnership as Christians, we are all partners with Jesus. And so to cover the partnership and to cover the gift of prophecy. So it was a very special project for me because I have taught Sunday school for 45 years, and to be asked to do this is a great gift, to be able to transmit what you've learned over a 53-year period to help young people to learn the kinds of things that you've traveled 53 years and read about and studied. It's really a great gift. It's like, having something very precious that you carry around with you, and it's really enjoyable when somebody says they'd like to, read it or think about it or talk about it. It's like, I guess, if you're a specialist in your field, a doctor, lawyer, or whatever you do, truck driver, carpenter, anything, you're a specialist, you're really good at it, you've done it for 53 years, and somebody asks you for advice. So that's what it felt like. And I had a chance to do this for God's sake as a friend of God. So I was covering the partnership and, simply stated, to be a partner with Jesus, truly, in order to be a partner, you have to be able to talk to him, and you have to be able to ask him questions and then do what he tells you. You can't possibly be a partner with Jesus and never communicate with him in any way at all. How can you be a partner if you're not communicating and knowing what he wants you to do? You run around all day and assume what he wants you to do, and that's not really safe. So I was very fortunate to get the assignment, but very busy. So I went full bore. I dropped everything else. I said, I got to get this done because it had to be done in a few days. And it was a Zoom meeting, and it was the first time I was going to use Zoom besides. So I decided I'd drop everything else and get this done. And lo and behold, when I finished it and I got it all done, the time I was allotted was 30 minutes, and I got this done in the first blush, the first creation of my lecture. It came out exactly 30 minutes, And those of you who prepare lectures and teaching assignments know that that's highly irregular. Usually you don't match the number exactly. So that was a great gift. Talk about a coincidence miracle. That was a perfect coincidence miracle for me. My next coincidence miracle just happens to be one you've heard about many, many times. I was trying to call someone for 3 days. We were playing telephone tag, and so I got inspired to pray about when should I do it next, and I prayed about it. I got a certain time, like 8 o'clock tonight I was going to call them. So 8 o'clock tonight I set my alarm, I pick up my phone to dial, and lo and behold, they called me exactly at 8 o'clock just before I picked up the phone to dial. So that's another coincidence miracle, and you've heard those before, but if it happens to me every day, I would tell you every day, because it's proof. I asked God, when should I call the person? He said 8 o'clock at night, and because I was doing it 8 o'clock at night, it worked out to be perfectly correct. Our next miracle is I was listening to the radio, and I heard them singing that song, He Walks With Me and He Talks With Me. Very inspirational song about walking and talking with God. And I was inspired to send it to a few of my close friends. So as soon as the song was over, I looked it up on YouTube and got it ready to issue to my friends. And I sent it out to about, I think 6 or 7 close friends. And immediately I got a response from one of them who said, "Wow, I can't believe this just happened. I was just now going to call you, and I was going to be talking to you about things which that song confirms, but what you may not know, Tony, is that's my most favorite song in my whole entire life. And because I was going to call you when I got it from you, I think it was pretty providential and a coincidence miracle." Our next miracle is I was awakened before the alarm went off, and when I went to check the alarm, it was like 1 minute. So I woke up 1 minute before the alarm went off, and I took that to be a coincidence miracle. And what I did next was I set it for 25 minutes so I could say some of my morning prayers before I even got out of bed. I typically like to do that. I set a rule for myself: before I get out of bed and get into trouble, I pray before I even get out of bed every day. Ask for wisdom and to say thanks for many, many things. I have many things to be grateful for. So I just asked, how long should I set the alarm for? And I was inspired to set it for 25 minutes. And I finished my prayers exactly, and I reached for my alarm to see what time it was. And as I reached for the alarm went off. So perfect coincidence again. I was awakened 1 minute before the alarm went off. I set the alarm for 25 minutes because I was inspired to do so. And I had finished my daily prayers exactly 25 minutes because the alarm went off exactly as I was finishing. Our next coincidence miracle is pretty amazing. I hope I can do it justice. I was on vacation at a resort spot along the shore, and I brought some books in my cards, my little cards, business cards that advertise the books, and I like to pass them out. Wherever I can, I try to pass out cards to let people know about the 2 books that helps people to become a friend of God and to talk to God and learn how to hear His voice speaking back to you. So I'm always trying to hand out cards about the 2 books. And so I did hand one out to a certain man, and he was captivated by it, and he's from another country. He was visiting here temporarily from another country, and he sat down and we started to chat, and he told me about a lot of problems and issues he was trying to decide, and he was asking me, how do you know what God wants you to do, and how can you decide? You sound like you wrote books that talk about all this. So we had a long discussion. He had some serious, very serious decisions that he had to make. Some of them were financial in nature. Some were relocating in nature. Really tough decisions. And so I spent almost 45 minutes with him talking about, how do you discern God's will, etc. And I gave him a copy of the book for free. And I told him I'd be back there that next day if he wanted to talk some more. And his name was Nathaniel, and The next day, when I got up, I looked at the daily readings at Mass for the day, and several religions like Episcopalians, Lutherans, Catholics, and a couple more that I don't even know about, they all say the same readings in their churches every day. Because they're all Christian, they've decided to pick the same ones, and it's a beautiful thing. So I checked the readings for the day, and this particular day, on the day after I met Nathaniel, the reading was about Jesus meeting Nathaniel. So here I am going back the second day to this spot to meet Nathaniel again, and it turns out that the only time in a whole 3-year period of reading the Bible at Mass for church prayers, it takes 3 years to get through the whole Bible during the Masses at church, that the day I was going to see Nathaniel for the second time is the only time in 3 years that his name comes up in the Bible. Now that's a coincidence par excellence, right? And we were talking about he wants to do God's will, he wants to know what to do. So I shared with him how remarkable and amazing that we got this amazing signal and sign for him today, which was certainly for him, that he's talking about trying to do God's will, and the reading from the Bible is all about God talking to Nathaniel and acknowledging him that he's a very holy man. And I can tell you the man I was talking to was very holy as well, because he wanted to do God's will. That was his ambition. You can read this passage in the Bible about Nathaniel if you look up John chapter 1, verses 43 to 51. Once again, John chapter 1, verses 43 to 51. It's a beautiful story about Nathaniel. Our next coincidence miracle has to do with one day I was awakened, and before I get out of bed, I say my prayers. So before I put my feet on the floor, I've already asked God for help. So I was asking him some things before I got out of bed. I was inspired to post on Facebook and LinkedIn today something to help people realize that God made us to be his friends, and he wants us to be his friends, and that he does all the work. He does all the hard work. So if we let God know that we're trying to be his friends, we want to be his friends, we want to get to know him, we want to do his will, and we want him to help us because we don't think we're going to be very successful without his help, that he does it all. And so I wrote some notes. I got up and I got it ready to do. And I thought I had it pretty well put together. And then I got inspired to check a famous preacher called Tony Davis. My name is Tony Quasha, by the way, and his name is Tony Davis. And to check, because he always has some fantastic lectures, and see if he had something on his website about it. And sure enough, I found in his lecture about godliness, it's called Godliness, he practically said the same thing that I was saying, using different words, but basically he says very clearly, you have everything you need. If you want to be God's friend, you have everything you need. And he explains what I explained as well. God does all the work. You have him. It's like if you want to be a friend with a dog or a cat or your next door neighbor, and you leave it up to them, and they tell you, don't worry about a thing, I'll do all that's necessary to become friends. That's what kind of God does. God says, you want to be my friend? Let me know, and I'll take care of it because I'm a worker of miracles. And so both I and Tony Davis have that message. So it's a very blessed experience for me, and especially to see Tony Davis did the same thing. God bless you all, and I'll talk to you next week.